This is such a passion project for me. The women, I believe in them. We have two strong competitors here. This is a platform for them to shine. The NBA's had that for a long time. It's time for the women to get that chance.
And we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
And it is for the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
The World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
No sooner than I upload a whole new podcast discussing and talking about Tessa Blanchard making her return to wrestling. And yes, that is news. She is making her return to wrestling, albeit not for one of the major promotions. She is returning to WOW, and I talked about that in just the last podcast, uploaded within 24 hours of me recording what I'm doing right now. And lo and behold, the press conference that was, quote, advertised out of this particular wrestling site did not take place. However, Entertainment Tonight has broken the news. I should say ET Online. I don't even know if they call it Entertainment Tonight anymore. I'm dating myself. But ET Online broke the news. It broke the exclusive that WOW Women of Wrestling is coming back to TV, which I just said yesterday. But now it's official. That's why this is breaking news. Otherwise, I'd have wrapped this up within the context of the review that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be reviewing MLW right now, and I will get to that. But I did not want to wait for this news I didn't want to sit on it for a couple of hours. I was like, you know what? I need to just go ahead and do this and do it now. Do a quick bonus episode. So here we have it, folks. The Women of Wrestling WOW is returning to television. You can see the exclusive on ET Online, and it does feature their former champion Tessa Blanchard. It features their current champion, the Beast. So I'm assuming that she is due to return also. And more importantly, it features Jeanie Buss, the owner of this project. She sat center of these two ladies as they talked about the return of WOW to TV and making a big deal about it, I guess. This, as I said before, will be the fourth time that I'm aware of, that I can think of off the top of my head, that WOW has made this return, so to speak, and they've gone through the big press conference, and we're on TV, and we're coming back, and all I can say is that, okay, first off, I made it clear in one of those previous podcasts, somebody asked, and I said I would never bet against WOW. I bet against them before, and then they wound up coming back. It was a long time, but they wound up coming back. So I'll never bet against them in terms of their ability to get on TV and produce a show. The only thing that I have to add to that is that I hope that their business practices, and that's the only thing that I've ever really criticized. I mean, the creative and the business practices, those are the only things that I've criticized as far as WOW is concerned. I don't think the year plus hiatuses that they have been subject to, or the year and a half, 2 year hiatuses that they've been subject to, I don't think that's healthy for them as a promotion or a TV show. But let's call a spade here. They have an advantage that most promoters just simply do not have. They got Jeanie Buss. Jeanie Buss, regardless of whether she has thrown her all into this project or not, which I said in the previous podcast, the one I just uploaded, that I never got the impression that she put her all into these projects. I still don't think that, until I see otherwise, I still don't think that she's put her all into it, but she puts in enough, clearly. Because here we are. They are now returning to television, which is, I'm sure, what they've wanted to do. But it also seems like, I'm not going to toot my own horn and I'm not going to take credit for it, but I will just say certain suggestions that I've put out to the universe seem to be being being utilized. And I say good for them, because they can't keep doing this the way that they've been doing it. You got to change something. And they're finally seeming as if they are changing that something and moving forward to a different, perhaps, style of presentation, I mean. And I'll get into that right now. So, here we are. It seems like I was just talking about this like 2 years ago. And basically the same verbiage. WOW has reached an exclusive multi-year agreement with Viacom CBS. Now, last time I think it was Universal or something like that, but we got a different one now. Viacom CBS and multi-year agreement. Now, multi-year agreement is, that could come under any different terms of years. Doesn't necessarily, I know a lot of people like multi-year, it must be 5 years or better. We do not know. They have not released that information. We don't know if it's 5 years. We don't know if it's 2 years. The only thing that we know is that it's more than one. That's it. That is the only thing that we gain from when somebody says a multi-year agreement, and that their deal is exclusive. So they will assumably be dealing with Viacom CBS entirely. Now, Viacom CBS does not mean that they will be on CBS proper. Doesn't mean that they will necessarily be on their the CBS network. Now, what it could mean, and I stress could, it could mean that they may wind up on Paramount Plus at some point. That is a possibility, because Paramount does utilize a lot of Viacom CBS content. So, and I believe that CBS owns it. So that is a possibility, particularly if WOW creates a significant amount of shows and a significant amount of content. That could be a thing for them. That might move them over into another platform that they can utilize. But as it stands right now, everything is full circle. They are returning to syndication. They said new episodes of WOW will launch in weekend syndication beginning in the fall of 2022. So, yeah, you got a lot of time to be waiting for this show. You got about a year. Another year that you're going to wait for WOW to come and present itself. I can only imagine two things within that statement. And again, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. The first thing is that they shot episodes that never aired. They shot episodes at the beginning of 2020 that they never had the opportunity to air. So what I would believe to be happening, and this is just my opinion, I don't have any inside track, I haven't talked to anybody about this, but what I believe to be happening here is that they have got to readjust their roster. Again, as I said before, there are a significant number of ladies who are working for WOW who had no idea, A, that the show was canceled off of Access TV. B, they hadn't been informed of any updates up until this point. Probably very few got this one. And C, other than not mentioning Tessa Blanchard, like that was like the only email that was kind of referenced amongst the masses. Do not comment or talk about the alleged Tessa Blanchard bullying. So when I look at it at that point, I think that the roster is going to be the first thing that they're going to have to do. And then once they establish whomever can still participate, whomever is going to return, whomever is going to sign up as being new, Then they will then turn around and see what in this footage can we salvage. Because I can almost guarantee within the couple of days of shooting that they did, some of it was going to be useless at this point. Well, not necessarily useless. They can always show the matches as a bonus match or something like that. Just redo the commentary or take it out of the context of a show. But if they're doing storyline, which they always have, they push WoW as more of a TV show than a wrestling promotion. But if they're doing storyline, if they're doing angles and they're introducing new people that say, let's just say for instance that some of those new persons that were on the show can't return, or some of those new persons that were on the show just have not been contacted to return, because I have heard that also, and I won't get into the person, but a couple of years ago when WoW returned and I contacted this performer, she was not very happy about it because not only did she not return to the show, she wasn't even contacted to return to the show. She had no idea about it. So, that you have those things that you have to take into account and possibly work into whatever factors that WoW is going to be dealing with going forward. So, as far as their new show is concerned, or their new launch, I would guess that seeing who they can have or who they have access to, who's willing to come back, who can't come back, seeing who they can get going forward, seeing what they have in the footage that is already shot that can be utilized. All of those things are coming to play. And then they got to schedule in all new shooting days and whatever, because they do a whole different production than most wrestling places do. They shoot for marathons, months worth of content at a time. So with that being the case, it's going to be interesting to see what they do and how they do it. But like I said, it all comes full circle. They're going back to weekend syndication in the fall of 2022, and I'm interested to see how that's going to play out, because weekend syndication in this day and age is not the same kind of syndication that we had 20 plus years ago. Not to say that syndication is bad. Syndication is still good TV. I mean, there's been a lot of good television that came out of syndication years ago. Today, I don't know. I don't know what the syndication landscape looks like today. How much TV do you watch that's over the air, that's running in syndicated markets? And that's the other thing. With it being syndicated, is going to be not necessarily a challenge for you to watch from one location to the next, but it certainly is going to be a case of you're going to have to find it. You're going to have to find it in your local market if it airs in your local market. That's going to be the other thing, because it being in syndication does not guarantee that it's going to be in all markets across the board. It might, but we don't know that yet because there's no release to list of these are the channels, these are the date and time, so on and so forth. So there's still a lot of gaps that still have to be kind of filled in, a lot of wrinkles to be ironed out. But also, in addition to the new programs that they have coming on, what they've also announced is that historical seasons, which basically archived episodes, will be available on CW Seed and Pluto TV platforms. So, again, it will not be on the broadcast version. It will not be on CW proper. But if you have a Roku or Amazon Fire or any other smart television or tablet or what have you that you can get apps on, CW Seed is an app that you can get, and that'll be something that you can go back and you can watch the classic episodes, apparently. Now, how far back they will go is another question, because I don't know. They never really indicated that they kept the first season of WoW from back in 2000, although I can't imagine why they would not have it. You would think at this stage they would have all of their content. And this is something I said a while ago. They had the content. Why are they not utilizing this? They should have done this by now. So they will be utilizing CW Seed and Pluto TV. Also something now, had been a big advocate of, because Pluto TV has grown so much over the last couple of months and years. If you have any amount of content that can run 24 hours a day in a loop, then Pluto TV is a good location for it. Now, yes, does that mean that they'll probably run out of it at some point? Sure, but who's going to sit there and watch WoW all day long to really notice that up front? I mean, it's just like everything else. They don't have the cachet. I'll use Star Trek, for instance. Star Trek Next Generation has a channel on Pluto TV, and they run all day, all night. Love that channel. And, sometimes I catch an episode I've seen before. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll walk into something that I never saw. An episode that I missed over these decades that Star Trek has been on. But that's what you get. So you probably have that with WoW also. There are probably some people out there who never saw that first season. There's some people out there who never saw the first attempted revival or the second attempted revival. So, I would imagine that is going to be something that is going to try to draw in new fans. I would hope that they use that as a platform to steer people towards wherever it is that they're airing, and get new fans involved in their programming. I'm going to read what Jeanie Buss said in her statement to ET. So this is what they list her as is league owner and executive producer Jeanie Buss. Wrestling's presentation of women has been very important to me, and we now are presenting the epitome in sports entertainment that will highlight the athleticism of these superstars as we reintroduce WoW. Our partnership with the entire Viacom CBS Global Distribution Group family allows us to continue our mission of providing wrestling fans and WoW superheroes what they have all deserved: a global platform dedicated to women's wrestling league, for a dedicated women's wrestling league. I guess bravo to them that they've done it. And again, I point out that Jeanie Buss is probably all that they needed to get this going. It is, she's the muscle there. I mean, not physically the muscle, but she has the things that other wrestling promoters, particularly ones who have run all women's promotions across the country, because let's be honest, WoW is not the only one. They will present themselves as the only one, but they're not the only one. But she has something that they don't. She has connections. She has money. She has a name, and she has connections. So when she chooses to push her muscle behind getting, a meeting or something like that for some executive for a network, I'm pretty sure she could do it. Rather than, and I say this with all due respect to Dave Prazak, who has done a phenomenal job with women's wrestling over the years with Shimmer, and I think he's working with MLW at this point. He might have had a hand in Shine here, and I know Lexi Fife is largely involved with Shine. But all due respect to those two, but neither one of them have what she does. She's a multi-millionaire. She's the owner of the Lakers. She has connections that most of these people just simply do not. So, that helps out a lot. And David McClain is still a part of it, apparently. That she's let's see what she has here. Now, this statement comes from Dan Cohen, the president of Viacom CBS. And he said, "We're thrilled to partner with Jeanie Buss and David McClain to create a significant global footprint for WoW and expand our diverse world-class content portfolio." This basically means that, they're happy to have more stuff in there that you can watch, which what every network is looking for right now, especially these days. Stuff that can draw people in, and wrestling seems to be one of the tickets for that, because it has a dedicated fan base, and some of these network executives are now coming back around, even though they may not personally like wrestling. They're not going to say that on TV, and they certainly know that it's going to draw a certain amount of eyeballs regardless. But anyway, in the further portion of his statement says, this series offers audiences unique, compelling, and creative entertainment that features female superheroes in the ring, behind the cameras, and in all aspects of the business, both in the U.S. and abroad. We believe this is an event program that will make some noise in the marketplace. And again, there's the key word, event program. Use stuff like that nominally with sports, basketball, football, baseball. Because event programming means people will actually sit down and tune in to the show. Now, the only thing that's going to separate WOW from that is that WOW, as it stands right now, is not live. If it's in syndication, it's not going to be that way anytime soon. But that's not to say that they will not be able to leverage themselves over into a larger position or a more consistent position, maybe a live event here or there. Who knows? But again, they have made some big changes to get themselves back on the air and back in front of people. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly that they do. Now, the other thing that I want to point out before I, pull the plug on this, because like I said, this is kind of a breaking news thing, is that they said that they have other WOW superheroes, at least in this article. Other WOW superheroes include Danny, Alex Garcia, Brienne Montez, I think it's Brienne, Kate Smith, and to whoever this young lady is, I'm pretty sure I'm about to butcher your name, so I'm going to spell it first and then I'm going to say it. IMO, that's the first name, last name AKPAN. So I'm going to say Amo Akpan. So, anyway, I bring that up because none of those names are anybody that I know or recognize or have any knowledge of. And none of which are anybody that, other than the Beast and Tessa Blanchard, I'm not sure if anybody is making a return there. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I'll add in a couple of other, 2 cents of my opinion. I've long said that Erica Porter, a.k.a. Jungle Girl, should be the legend that WOW kind of hoisted up and put on their shoulders. I still believe that, although I don't think that she should be wrestling now because, she's made it very clear that she's dealing with stage 4 cancer and that's not going anywhere. She's, outside of a miracle happening, she's going to be living with that for the rest of her life. But if she is going to be involved in any way, I think that she would make a fantastic ambassador to that program. I think that she should be there, if nothing else, an episode or two, just to make her presence felt. If it were me, I'd be giving her the Lifetime World's Championship. That would be the presentation. How do you not? And I'm not saying do that for some sort of, because it'd be kind of grubby and slimy to do that just so you can get press. But this woman, not only was there with you through WOW season 1, but she came back. She came back in every incarnation of WOW that WOW has had. If she doesn't deserve that at this point, and, I don't want to say she busted her body for it, but she probably busted her body for that. Wrestling isn't easy. So I don't see where that would be a big thing. I absolutely feel like, especially since she, part of the story in the first revival was her quest for the championship. Her quest to become what she didn't do the first go round, become the WOW champ. And I still maintain that she has everything going, whether it was happenstance, whether they did it on purpose. She has a lot going for the legacy of Jungle Girl in that, yes, she was beaten by Tessa Blanchard, But she was beaten with a foot over the rope, so she has an arguable point. Now, I'm sure once we get into WoW airing archive footage, we'll see that once it pops back up one day. But unless they edit it out, that's one of those things that, like, use that. Have her show up there. She doesn't need to be in Jungle Girl attire. Just have her show up there, speak to the people, because she was a pretty good promo, especially as a heel. Have her speak to them and, tell them, hey, look, I had my fun. I've enjoyed it. WoW's been a great part of my life, and I love to come back and, have her as an on-air figurehead matchmaker every once in a while, or so, a special referee maybe, so, something like that, just to acknowledge her presence and how she's been there and what have you. I think that is as appropriate a thing that they could possibly do for that woman as anything. So I'm going to put that out into the ether. Some of these other suggestions I made over the last couple of podcasts have seemingly manifested themselves. So I'm going to put that out there also. She deserves, make her a belt, make her a lifetime WoW World's Champion. She deserves it. Also, Caged Heat deserves to pop back on that show at least for one more run, assuming that they still want to do it. Now, Caged Heat operates on two different coasts. One of them is here. Delta Lot of Pain is in Atlanta. The other is in L.A. That would be Loca. And I believe that became assumably an issue. That and the fact that Delta Lot, her name is Jawan D. Her career started picking up, and I don't think that she just had the time to do it. And that, unfortunately, caused, without one member of Caged Heat, then Caged Heat was pretty much done. But I bring them up to say this. The last thing that we saw with WoW, one of the last things that we saw, was the tag team champions after the tournament was over, and I'm sure they're going to have to redo a whole new tournament with all new people. But when the last tournament was done, Kiera Hogan, Fire, and I'm going to use the wild names, Fire and Adrenaline, they won the tag team titles, and they were immediately attacked by Exile. Exile being led by Malaya Hosaka, who's legendary in women's wrestling. And it was good because Malaya Hosaka gave a great promo, and they never got a chance to do anything with that. That should have been Caged Heat spot. That right there should have been Caged Heat spots. Caged Heat should have been the ones to come in when that tournament was over with and attack whoever won the championships. And they should have made it clear. It's like, this is not against them personally, but whoever wins this thing is going to deal with Caged Heat. Why? Because they were the last known champions before that tournament started. And they weren't even invited to participate in the tournament to either retain or regain the championships. So if anything would give you an issue or make you feel some kind of way, I would think that would be it. That should have been it, and I think that there's still a story there. I think there is still at least one story to get off if they're going to launch WoW and launch it right in terms of the WoW fans / wrestling community, because they've got to migrate actual wrestlers in there instead of actors that they're training to learn, real quickly. There's a story to be told there. There's a story to be told to have your legacy team come in saying that we were mistreated. We were mistreated and cheated out of our run to be the champions. We did everything that we could do to be the tag team. It was the only thing that we cared about. We went, basically, they could say, we went straight for this, or tried to, and we still got cheated. We still got screwed around and looked over. And again, I don't know if that's something that they would want to do. I know the last time that we saw Jawan D, I think, as Delta Lot of Pain was probably 5 or 6 years ago. So she may not even want to be in a wrestling ring anymore. She might be, she might be all behind her at this point. But I think that there's something there. something worth looking into, and hopefully, again, putting this out into the universe, they'll at least think about it. Now, the last thing that I will address is what I addressed yesterday in the other podcast with Tessa Blanchard's return, is Tessa Blanchard herself. The one thing that WOW had going for them, and I've said this to some degree in the previous podcast, is that they kind of exist underneath the wrestling radar. They don't have the same fan base, or the same exposure that these other promotions do. Your NWAs, your Impact Wrestlings, your MLWs, and up the ladder to AEW and WWE. WOW doesn't exist in that sphere. WOW exists in a sphere all its own. And because they exist in a sphere all its own, it's like they're able to do this and have Tessa Blanchard there without the benefit of being lambasted for it. Which comes down to, is she going to be worth it if people do start to lambaste her for it? Because there is the potential for that to happen. I don't know if they're prepared for it. I don't know if they would want to deal with it. I don't know if they'll just ignore it and move on. I know WOW has been kind of funny about stuff like that when they had these kind of hot topics, if you want to call them that. I mean, I rewind it back to when they were, or at least some of their members, we'll put it that way, were running around talking about, well, they shouldn't take Moolah's name off of this and that and the other. And I said then, I was like, that's WWE's right. If WWE doesn't want to put it on there, if WWE doesn't want to deal with the heat of putting Fabulous Moolah's name on something, that's their right. And if WOW and WOW's employees feel that strongly about it, there's nothing in the world that's stopping them from making a Fabulous Moolah Cup or a Fabulous Moolah Memorial Tournament or praising, Fabulous Moolah as some sort of great wrestler. So they could do that as much as they want to, but they never did. They wanted to put that on somebody else. That's not a here nor there. I only brought that up to say that, they've had their kind of iffy moments with these kind of hot topics. And as I said earlier, the report is that one of the last emails that went around is that they were told not to talk about it. They weren't told to address it. So as far as WOW is concerned, Tessa Blanchard is a saint. But the question here is, what happens if the media kicks in? What happens if the heat turns up? What happens if somebody out there brings stuff up again and the magnifying glass gets turned squarely on WOW? What are they going to do? Is Tessa worth, for that company, sticking by her through the thick and thin? Especially if somebody proves it. Now, that's going to be the other thing. We've seen people have stuff brought up for things that they did 10, 20 years ago. And this is not all that old. So it's not like, it would be that difficult for somebody to be like, yeah, look, she just said this about me, in 2019 or whatever the case is. There's a reason that she's not hired here, or there's a reason we don't want her in our locker room. And that potential exists. Is Jeanie Buss going to want to sit down and deal with that? Does she micromanage this? My honest opinion had been about it, and I said it already, is that she doesn't. She doesn't micromanage this. Dave McClain probably micromanages, the show. But is it important enough? Is it important enough for him to be like, yeah, look, Tessa, we like you, but we can't have you here. You're drawing too much heat. You're drawing too much fire. And only time will tell, because I'm sure by the time 2022 rolls around, the fall of 2022, when they actually start airing again, that may not be as big of an issue. In fact, it probably will be forgotten about, save for the idea that somebody may bring it up, or one of the wrestlers who was working with WOW may have a difference of opinion. They may be like, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to work with her. As long as she's in that locker room, I don't want to be there. I mean, that's possible too. There were a couple of people who felt like Tessa bullied them. There were a couple of people that felt like Tessa made some real racist comments. So I will not say anybody's name. I will not say, who would be potentially in line of saying, well, I don't want to be there. But, there's always that possibility that exists. And I am curious to see whether or not WOW is going to be willing to deal with it. But, we're not going to go off into that right now. We'll leave on this. Is that WOW has finally given some sort of comment. It also makes me feel like the social media platform that WOW has, or whoever's working in social media, has absolutely no clue or connection to what WOW is doing beyond the fact that they were probably told just keep this page running. Because even they didn't put it. They didn't even put the link up. I'm completely surprised. Like they didn't even do that. It's like how does Entertainment Tonight scoop your own social media platform? As a matter of fact, how do they do that and you don't even put it in there for hours at a time? But I don't know. So again, we're ending on the good side of things. That being, congratulations, WOW has decided that they're going to make another go at it. This is number 4. Hopefully this one will last and they will continue on, and their relationship with CBS or Viacom CBS will be fruitful for them. It will be great to see the women's wrestling return to television and whatever format and locations that it takes. And as of September 2022, again, you got a year. You have a full year to sit this out. They will be set to launch on CBS affiliates. So you guys and I will stay tuned for that. Be sure to check out the WPN and WPNWrestling.com to look at our 24-hour stream. See, they ain't the only ones that have it. We got one too. And it's right there on our website, and you can check it out any given time. And we always feature some of the top independent women's wrestling talent. And we don't go anywhere. We're always around. We don't take no hiatuses. We are here. So, but the only difference is we ain't got no billionaire backing this thing up. So it is completely dependent on your support. So if you want to support it, go over there and take a look at the channel. And I said it on the previous one. Thank you to those who have indulged in some of the sponsors / advertisers that come on there. Thank you very much. Don't know who you are, don't know where you are, but thank you for doing that, because that counts a lot. The people who have checked out the donate button, thank you. If you want to go to our Teespring store also, that would be a good way to support the show. And I'm working on some new art designs with some artists, and I am one of those artists to do my renditions of some stuff that's going to go on these shirts. So all of that said, I appreciate and love your time and the fact that you have chosen me to relay this information. So there's your breaking news. WOW's coming back. This has been Mr. Green saying that this is Mr. Green saying so long. And I will see you probably very shortly on the next go round.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.